Without a doubt, Mima is the most popular PC98 character. Even if you know almost nothing about PC98 Toho, chances are that you have at least heard of Mima. But why is that, and why did so many people want her back? To answer that question, let's first go over all of Mima's notable appearances, starting off with her first one, Toho 1, Highly Responsive to Prayers. Highly Responsive already has very little story to it, so there isn't too much information on Mima's role in that game, but she does appear in the Hell Route and is located around Hokora, which is a small shrine that is usually attached to a larger shrine. And in the credits to the game, Mima is seen telling Reimu, "You think you could understand how a ghost feels?" And that's it for Toho 1. Now to Mima's second appearance, Story of Eastern Wonderland. In this game, Reimu finds a bunch of yokai trashing her shrine, so Reimu goes out to beat up whoever is behind it, which turns out to be Mima. Reimu travels to Reimiden, which is in Makai, and encounters Mima there, but before Reimu can fight her, Mima's apprentice shows up, who is none other than Maritza, and fights Reimu instead. After defeating Maritza, Reimu confronts Mima, who tells her that she is really after the Yin Yang orbs. After Reimu defeats Mima, Reimu seals Mima behind the Hakare Shrine, but Mima breaks the seal a month later and escapes. Now to Phantasmagoria: A Dim Dream, where Mima is one of the many playable characters in that game. In Mima's story, Mima finds some mysterious ruins and investigates them, but the ruins end up being Yumimi's ship, and upon Yumimi discovering that Mima is capable of using magic, Yumimi decides to try and capture Mima and take her back to the outside world to prove that magic is real. But Mima defeats Yumimi, and upon Yumimi's defeat, she grants Mima one wish, which was for an imperishable night. Hey. But it doesn't last long, and the day and night cycle eventually goes back to normal. Now on to Lotus Land's story. Mima doesn't appear in Lotus Land's story. Now on to Mystic Square, where Mima's story is that a lot of beings from Makai have been coming to Gensokyo, and Mima doesn't like that, since she sees Gensokyo as hers, so she goes out to put a stop to it. After getting into Makai and battling everyone she comes across, Mima finally encounters Shinki, and after Shinki introduces herself as the god and creator of Makai, Mima lies to Shinki, calling herself the god of the human world. After defeating Shinki, Mima returns to Gensokyo and ponders about actually becoming a god, but decides against it and just goes back to trolling Reimu. But after her rematch with Alice in the extra stage, Mima makes Alice her maid, since she was jealous of the fact that Shinki had one, and later decides to try and become a god. And that is all of Mima's notable appearances in PC98. And as you can see, she had a very prominent role in it, appearing in 4 out of 5 games, and she even got to be a final boss in one game and playable in another 2. That is saying a lot for a character in PC98 Toho, since the majority of the PC98 characters never appeared outside the game they were introduced in, and on top of that, Mima has a very noticeable personality. It seems she loves trolling people, and I would describe Mima as being somewhere between chaotic neutral and chaotic evil. So with everything I have said so far about Mima, you might start seeing why she is so popular. She has appeared more in official Toho works than a number of Windows characters have, but of course, as you know, Mima has yet to appear outside of the PC98 canon. Well, she actually kind of has, since she appeared on the cover of Accused Untouched Scroll Volume 4, and oddly enough, her design was even slightly altered from the last time we saw her, but that's getting a bit off track, and I don't think many people even count that as Mima officially appearing in the Windows canon. Now getting back on track, I want to go a bit more into the topic of Mima returning to Windows canon, although this isn't going to be about how she can return. I already went over that in the Bringing Back PC98 Characters video, but instead I want to present the argument about why Mima should have returned. Now a little while ago, I mentioned the majority of PC98 characters never appeared outside of the game they were introduced in. Well, let's take a look at the characters who appeared in more than one game. Reimu, Maritza, and Yuka. Notice the pattern with them? They all eventually came back to Windows canon. Although Genji and Hikaruka also appeared in more than one game, But Genji was really just Reimu's mount, and he is arguably back in Windows canon, and Hikaruko is just a reused mid-stage spots, so I don't really count them. But back to the reappearing characters. So other than Reimu, Maritza, and Yuka, the only other PC98 character that appeared in more than one PC98 game was of course Mima. So following the same logic surrounding the other three, you would think that meant Mima was supposed to return too. But as you know, she didn't. And I don't really know why. She seemed like a really fun character and could have fit in pretty well into the early days of Windows Toho. But Zune just didn't bring her back. Maybe Zune just didn't know exactly what to do with her, so he didn't bring her over. But whatever the reason was, personally I think it is a bit unfair to Mima. But not all hope is lost. While it's pretty unlikely, Mima can always still come back. I mean, Flandre first appeared in EOSD in 2002, and it wasn't until 2019 when she had another notable appearance. That's 17 years of absence, so maybe Mima can appear after being absent for 24 years. Well, that's it. Even if you're not a fan of Mima, or don't think she should come back, I at least hope you can see why it is that she is so popular, and why she arguably should have come back. Anyways, thanks for watching. Goodbye.